but then you publish it and you've got to market it. Who can I share my book with? Why is my book showing up on Amazon? How am I supposed to share my book? Why are people not giving me reviews? How does my book get thrown in the algorithm? Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Nasa Priscilla. If you're new here and you didn't know, and if you didn't know, hey. As you can tell by the title of today's video, I'm going to be sharing 5 tips that I have for someone who is writing their first book or needs a reminder of what to do when they're writing their next book, or just needs a little motivation, a little push to get started with writing that book. So if you're interested in seeing that, be sure to stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel to see more book content also, and like this video while you're at it. Just a little precursor, a little bit of like, how can you give me tips, girl? How do you know how to, I published my first book on July 29th. It was like 8-9 months in the making. And these are tips that I wish I had, or wish that I had seen, or wish that I had even thought about before writing my book. So I definitely feel like it can't hurt to share with you guys. So first tip is to identify your why. Identifying your why is going to help you so much in this process. Identify why you want to write a book. Why do you want to write the book? What is the story that you'd like to portray? What are you trying to achieve with this book? Do you have a sales goal? Do you want to make money? Do you want to tell a story? Do you want to portray a theme? Do you want to change lives? Like, what do you want to do? The reason that I say that is because I started a book. I got 47,000 words in. It was a full-on romance novel. I was trying to write like spicy scenes and all types of drama. And I was like, bro, this isn't interesting. So I stopped writing it. And it took me a while to kind of pivot from where I was there to where I went and what I produced. But I didn't have a why for that one. I just kind of wanted to write. I had been writing when I was younger and I wanted to get back into that. But I'm like, why do I want to publish this book? Like, this has no value. It's like, this has no value. And so I kind of sat down for a second to try and determine why I even wanted to write a book and publish it. And so that helped me when I was writing the one that I actually did publish. And it's just kind of like, when you have that moment where you're not sure what you're doing, where you're going, you're kind of reverting back to that why, and it keeps you going. So definitely identify a why. My second tip would be to do your research. So when I say do your research, I mean that in a sense of kind of read the type of novels that you'd like to write to understand the different voices that are used in the different ways that they're being written. So I started off reading this one romance novelist whose name I don't want to name, but it's a canon event. I think if people start reading romance in this day and age, they're probably starting there. And that's what kind of left me with the idea that I could write a romance novel. Then I started branching out to Black authors who kind of had more real life experiences, and I was kind of seeing a theme that I could kind of take from that book, or something that I could carry with me on top of a beautifully written story. And I was like, I think I want to do that. I think I want to pivot into something that readers can take from the book. They can, this book had me look at life this way, or I learned this about myself, or I see relationships this way, as opposed to kind of just what I was thinking beforehand. And so researching and familiarizing myself with the craft helped me hone in on the work that I'd like to write. I think it's really important to note here that there's a difference between inspiration and imitation. And so when you find yourself inspired, that's amazing. When you find yourself reading work and you're like, wow, that's a great story, I learned something from that, I want to write something that people can learn from, that's inspiration. But when you find yourself writing a similar storyline to one that you read before, or you're kind of imitating the writing style or imitating the work that you've read, and you want to take a step back and try and identify where your research is coming from, where your research is going, and how can you flip that to become the inspiration that you need. Because one thing that we don't want to do is steal the works from another Black author. We don't want to do that. So if you feel yourself going down that route and it's obviously unintentional, then just pause for a second and see how you can redo that, rework that, reframe your works. My third tip is to plan. With this, I mean, like, create an outline, plan out what you're going to write. I think a big downfall for me, obviously, there were a few I mentioned, was starting that first book and getting 47,000 words in. But another one was, I just started with no plan. I had a dream about a scene and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna write a book. And I just started typing away. And then I got to the climax and I was like, I don't really know where I see this going. Like, I don't have nothing. I was just going off of vibes, which is fine. And that's a great way to start. But when you get 47,000 words in, you're kind of stuck. I'm like, okay, well, what do I do next? So for me, that just looked like when I started the second book, I planned what was the beginning, what was the middle. I had a few endings that I was playing around with, but the fact that I had the beginning and the middle planned out helped me choose an ending that worked. And so for me, it was really important, and it is going to be important, and it has continued to be important to create an outline. That way I have something to fall back on when I get a little confused and I don't really know what's going on. I'm looking at my outline and I'm like, okay, this is where the story is going. This is what I see. This is what I see for my characters. This is what I see for the plot. This is what I can rely on. This is what I can fall back to when I'm just like, what? And also it helps when you are at writer's block and you don't know what you're writing, or you don't know what you want to tell, or you don't know how you want to tell the story. I think that also helps. I think an outline also helps, but I also think planning helps as well. If I have a schedule where I'm writing 1,000 words a day or 1,500 words a day or a page a day or a paragraph a day, and I'm really pushing through with that plan, that helps me in those writer block days, because it helps me stay in that creative space. Like sometimes it might not look the way that you want it to look on paper, or sometimes you may not have a thought for a scene, but writing it out and keeping yourself in that creative space is going to help you in the long run. So I definitely say that you should create a writing plan or a writing schedule of sorts. That is a tip that I need to take for myself, but okay. I would say my next tip is to prepare for the hard work. The hard work does not come, in my opinion, with the writing, because when you're writing, you are obviously enjoying what you're doing. If you enjoy the story that you're telling, it's easy. Like, yeah, you have writer's block, but it's like, I'm creating something that I love, that I hope will do good for the world or the people who read it. This is so great, right? But then you publish it and you've got to market it as a self-publisher, as an indie author. Like, you have to do all the marketing yourself. You don't have a team. So that's the hard part for me. And that's the part that I would suggest kind of thinking about before you go into the self-publishing route, or before you just start writing the book. Like, yeah, you get the easy part done and then you have to market the book. For me, I follow a lot of Black authors, and I follow one woman who just released her 74th book this week. And of course, her comments are flooded with people who are waiting to read her work. And I'm just like, ain't nobody waiting to read my work. It's my first book. Like, I have to do the work. I have to do the marketing. I have to remember to post that Instagram reel and that TikTok and that Facebook reel, and try and go into KDP and figure out what marketing they have and who can I share my book with. Why is my book showing up on Amazon? How am I supposed to share my book? Why are people not giving me reviews? How does my book get thrown in the algorithm? I mean, those are the thoughts that go through my head when I think about marketing my book. So definitely prepare for the hard work. But I think when you remember your why, it keeps you going with that piece. Like when you remember that, in my case, I wrote a story and I want people to see a theme, and I want people to gain something from this book in a non-traditional way, in the sense that, like, yeah, you can listen to a speech or you can listen to etc. whatever. I want you to gain something from what I wrote. I want my story to help people in a way. Then that keeps me going with my why. That's my why, and that keeps me going with the marketing. And so when you identify your why, then obviously you can keep going with the marketing, and you're not really concerned about comparing yourself, because when you get a DM from someone that says, like, I really love this book and I love the way these characters went through their trauma, and I love the way that this character connected her partner with the Lord, like, I really enjoy all of that. I really enjoyed this book, and I love the way the characters are portrayed and what they learned and how they work through their trauma, et cetera, then it's like, okay, well, this is working because someone got what I wanted them to get, right? So yeah, the hard work is something that you prepare yourself for, or should prepare yourself for, but remembering your why helps you push through all of that. So those are just a few tips. I obviously have a few more. I have more tips for self-publishing, but I just wanted to get my feet wet in the booktube world. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to see more bookish content, definitely comment down below and let me know. I also am reading a lot of romance novels, but when I'm writing, I try and take a step back from those, just because I don't want, again, to be influenced by a story that I'm reading. So yeah, I've kind of taken a step back, but I just read two that were really good. This is not that, but they were called Parachutes 1 and Parachutes 2 by Takira Allen. Oh my gosh, like those books really changed my world for like a week. Wow. But anyway, yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe for more bookish content, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.